First one. It's looking awesome. Hello, 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 ladies. Thanks so much for being here. I am here with Maria. I'm so excited for this conversation. This lady is on a fire when it comes to all things wellness, pivoting, refocusing, grabbing a hold of your dreams. We have so much to talk about today. This is going to be awesome. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Sabrina Victoria. I am the host here on this podcast. Listen, if you have not already subscribed, now is the time. Hit that subscribe button. There's always just awesomeness here. Guaranteed to have you thinking differently about your life and differently about your business. Here we go.
Get ready, because today's guest is about to change the way you view your world. This is Her Talk Show, hosted by Sabrina Victoria.
If you are listening live, welcome. And if you're listening on the replay, make sure you drop #replay in the comments so we can send you some love a little later on. We've had over 600 women grace this stage. We are adding another one to the list today. In 2016, Maria left a successful 17-year finance career to pursue her passion for fitness. Today, she is on a mission to redefine success through the Angelova Method, a holistic program promoting the symbiotic relationship between a sound body and a serene mind, asserting that true success cannot be achieved with either in disarray. How true is that?
Very true, I say, subjectively, but yes, very true.
Add in that subjectively. I love that. Well, listen, I'm assuming that it's been a journey to get to where you are now, and the pivots that you have had to take, the fear that you have taken on. I would love for you to just kind of share some of your story.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, first of all, here, Sabrina. I am so grateful for the opportunity to inspire others to, yes, we all have fears. And actually, I was at a networking event this morning and I was talking to somebody and he's like, I'm scared. And I was like, I hear you. I was like, we all have those fears which keep us trapped into, jobs we don't love, relationships we're not happy in, friendships that don't fulfill us. And that doesn't have to be the case. So in my case, fitness was a thing that I loved since I was 16. And when I was about 20, I started telling my friends, one day I'm going to do my own thing and have my own fitness studio. But then, I had the upbringing of you have to go to school, you have to study well, you have to get a good and stable job. And that's what I knew, and that's what I was taught, and that's what I did. And then as the paycheck kept getting bigger and there were the benefits, pursuing my dream was like, one day when I'm done with this. And fitness was a side gig. It was a hobby, but I had a regular corporate job in finance. I have my undergraduate degrees in finance, my MBA in finance. I was going for that CFO seat in finance. In 2015, I got that nudge, Sabrina. That was like, go after your dream, quit. And of course, when you go into common thinking, you're going like, oh, that's crazy thoughts. I shared it with my husband and he kind of blew me off. He was like, yeah, babe, one day we're not ready yet. And that was pretty much it. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense, right? That makes common sense. Another year went by and that nudge just kept being there, Sabrina. And I was like, man, it was like screaming at me. And every day I would walk into the office, I would almost feel suffocated. And it got so unbearable that I was like, you know what? I just have to give this a try and just see where it takes me. So after a forecast meeting with my boss, I said, she knew I had side hobbies. I was like, I gotta give this a living chance and just see where it takes me. Sabrina, one of the scariest, I remember being at that meeting, my hands were shaking. And she asked, I love my boss. She said, is there anything that we can do to keep you? And I said, please don't try because I'm so scared. I was very vulnerable with her. And I could just tell my voice was shaky. And I was thinking, what am I doing? I barely made it to my office. I wanted to just break down crying. And I was thinking, just don't throw up on the way to the office, right? And that fear was so real. Long story short, my journey didn't start with like fireworks and people lining up to work with me. It kind of started with a crash. And my family life got very much shaken. My hubby was not supportive of what I was doing. A lot of the people around me were like, what are you doing? I was a finance director at the time. I pretty much gave up, all of my life that I had built 17 years and, my education. And it got very lonely. It got very scary. It was financially uncomfortable. I was going way faster through my savings. It was not a pretty place. And Sabrina, I was that salutatorian. I was that honor student, highest honors. I was that success story in corporate. And suddenly I found myself like, wow, like I had never experienced that in my life. And needless to say, I had to do a lot of work. And I got myself into mindset coaching, which was another scary job because I had to do heavy financial investments when there was no income coming. And I just had to bet on myself and say, do I believe I can do this? And that was really the start of, my company, like really me growing as an individual. Perhaps you hear that people say, well, I want to be, professionally successful. Well, professional success is based on personal growth. It doesn't go the other way around. And I definitely think we have opportunities to redefine success, because success does not mean being miserable. Success does not living in a scarce mindset. Yeah. Success does not mean accepting the aches and pains and accepting your aging and life just goes downhill. Success is you thriving and loving what you do and doing it with passion and changing your life and contagiously changing the life of others. So it's kind of like the short story.
Absolutely. I know that there are eons of men and women who want to do exactly what you did, who are in a career, they've been in it for 1-2 decades. They're either over it or they have another thing that's just been pulling at their heart forever. And that fear is real. I love how you really described that. Like you were shaking, you felt like you were going to throw up. Like
yeah, it was very real.
And so many individuals want to. And that fear that you're talking about gets in the way because there is so much sometimes that is depending. Money is a real thing.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
It's a real thing. The lifestyle that you've built is a real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And giving it voluntarily away.
Yeah.
It's a very intentional choice.
Yeah. What were the steps that you took? Just curious, what were the steps that you took mentally, emotionally, financially, maybe conversations before you actually jumped? I'm assuming you didn't just like do it on a whim. There was some sort of preparation. What was kind of your...
So I think the biggest thing for me, Sabrina, was I was very tuned into intuition. And that was really a big driver. And we live in a world where we're not really encouraged to trust our intuition. It's common sense versus intuition. And I would say 99% of the time, it's the common sense that wins because that is what we're conditioned. And then even when you have that spark of, listen, this is what I'm thinking of, the people around you are like, are you crazy? Now, they don't do that because they want to be mean. They do that because they want to keep you safe. And safety is one of the biggest traps. So for me, one was trusting my intuition and saying, am I going crazy or is this like real? And then I had to go back. Like I have loved fitness for my entire life since I was a teenager. So this didn't sound crazy. This made sense. I had talked to friends about one day I will do this. So this was not something that just popped up. I think it has just built up so much. And then I made sure that I put some money in savings, right? Because I knew it wasn't going to be the same income when it comes in. I do have to tell you, I did not realize the power of surrounding yourself with people who believe in the craziness that you want to do. And that was a very tough place to be. I really didn't have a support system. And I was, with no income, by myself, having this crazy vision that most people were like, I don't see it. Yeah. And people were like making fun of me and throwing comments. And when you're down there, that is not really very helpful.
Yeah.
And you know what? And the biggest thing that I say to people is, do you really trust your intuition? Don't do that. Don't do this because I told you I did this and this is how it worked for me. If you don't believe in like your vision, your passion, don't just do it because somebody else did it, right? That's super important. Your why, your believing to what you're doing has to be so much stronger than what anybody else thinks, because what everybody else thinks can pull us right back into the comfort zone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think what you're saying is so true also, because when you were speaking your story, you talked about when you first made the leap, it wasn't a party.
No.
It got real hard. So you had to dig in. It wasn't like
Yeah.
it just flowed to you. So yeah, you have to really trust, like you're saying, your intuition and your vision, because there's gonna be hurdles
Absolutely.
along the way.
And
Yeah.
last night we were talking during mindset, we were talking about that let's say you're in a relationship and the same type of relationship keeps happening to you, or you attract the same type of jobs. That has to do with you. And that has to do with the potential and the real work that's happening in here, right? And we seek answers from the outside. The real answers come from the inside. And once again, we're not conditioned to do the inner work. And how our life changes, and I'm speaking completely from personal experiences, you have to start from the inside out. And Sabrina, so I was 39 when I made my jump. And once again, I had a very successful life. And what I realized is that it was a conditioned life, and it was the life of shoulds and musts and have tos. And I was shocked when I started doing the mindset coaching myself. I was like, oh my gosh, I have no idea who I am. I've been conditioned so much that I've completely lost connection with the true me. And then I had to peel the layers to get down to that little seed that is like before it blossoms,
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I'd love for you to talk a little bit about, your steps that you teach your clients. I know that you have an array of different clients that are coming to you predominantly for health and wellness. But I think adding on that mindset is such a key to be able to really help them pivot in their world in many different aspects of your life. So, do you have like a top 3 things that you think are important as far as things that you continuously do with your clients as far as mental, physical, wellness for them?
Yeah. So the physical and the mental, I'll say there is one keyword that I use, and that's alignment. Are you in alignment? Are you physically in alignment? Is your posture good? Because when you're not, stuff wears and tears, your body wears and tears much faster, and there's aches and pains and stiffness. And then we also don't think about it frequently, but we have the mental, the emotional, the spiritual alignment. So if you feel in a lack of alignment, let's say with your job, why are you choosing to be in lack of alignment? That's a choice. For many, it's a subconscious choice. It's not a conscious choice, but that is a choice. And that's one of the first things to realize, that the results where your life is today is a sum of the choices that you make. And we make choices every single minute, right? Who do we connect to? Like I made a choice to be on your show, right? I made a choice to connect with you, right? Like these are all choices. Yeah. So and I'll tell you, Sabrina, I'll ask people one key question. What do you want? And people will sit there, and many of them will just blink at me and say, well, I don't know. So if you don't know where you're going, like what are the steps that you're going to take to go that way? Exactly. Or they'll say, well, this is what I want. They'll say it in like 5 seconds, and then they'll spend 10 minutes telling me why that's not possible. So let me tell you now why I cannot do that. The prime example is I had a client who said, I want to write a book. I said, okay. And then she went, well, I'm not a writer. I don't do this. I'm not a part of this society, blah, 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 blah. And I said, I will make you a deal because I have a published book. I said, you write the book. I will help you publish it. I'll do all of the back work for you because my book was also #1 release. I said, I will help you do all of that. Would you not jump on that opportunity? Holy cow. Here is an opportunity to make my dream come true, right? Yeah. She goes, no, I can't do that. And she went back right into the same excuses of why she can't do it. We shut the door to opportunities. The opportunity is like, here, you want me? We're like, nah, I'd rather stay in the box. It's safer. It's more comfortable. And I'm like, people, what do you want? Go after it. The only thing that will help you is taking action, dreaming about it, thinking about it. Nothing is going to change until you take action. And then being true to yourself. Are you in alignment with yourself? Sabrina, I had a client one time. She said, as we're going through the session, she goes, Maria, how do I forgive myself for all the choices I've made? Because you realize that there is a lot that we do, again, going back to unconsciously, because we have limiting beliefs about who we are, what we deserve, how we are not enough. And, I also teach my clients, you meet yourself with grace and love every day. Okay, you missed your session today. All right, you're aware. What can change tomorrow? If you go down the path of beating on yourself, how bad you are and all that, which we're, by the way, excellent at, wouldn't you say that? We're so good and pushing ourselves backwards instead of forward. So it's a journey, it's doable. And what I would say a key tip is start becoming aware of yourself and make small steps consistently.
Absolutely. I really like what you said. What do you want? Figure out what you want and then go for it.
Yeah.
I think that's so important. One, people don't know what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Then you stretch them to figure out what they want, but that's not it. Then you have to actually take the action.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what's going to change your life. And I'll tell you another story. When I did my first mindset session, mindset coaching for myself, I got on the mic. It was a room of, 200, 300 people. And I was like, listen, I quit my job. I was like, that was uncomfortable. I was like, why is life like not thriving right now? And the coach goes, because you have to keep taking those steps every single day. And I was like, but I don't want to do that. It's scary. And he goes, well, then you're going to be where you are right now. Now that, when you're in a place of darkness, does not feel good. That fires your, I don't know what kind of language you allow here, Sabrina, but that fires, puts fire behind your ass, because you realize, holy cow, I did this. Now I have a choice. Do I really make it happen or do I go back? And it's uncomfortable, you guys. Discomfort becomes a part of the journey and you just embrace it. You put that fear next to you into the driver's seat. You both buckle up and say, let's go. And you recognize it and you're aware of it. Sabrina, I live uncomfortable every single day of my life. And when I get comfortable, I'm like, okay, something is like, I'm slowing down. Personal growth is slowing down, right? Let's go.
Yep. I always say that. I'm like, if I'm feeling a little too comfortable for probably even just a month, I'm like, bro, we got to expand. We need some new problems up in here.
To solve, right?
I would love for you to share your story. When we spoke, you shared your story about when you first started in your location where you're at and how it was just a little area. Yeah. And then it kind of expanded out, because I think that's such a testament to what you said as far as what do you want, figure out what you want, and then go for it. And it doesn't mean that like the vision that you have in your intuition or your gut is like this enormous thing and you have to just dump millions of dollars into it. You just have to like start. So I'd love for you to share that as a visual for people to realize, oh, wow. Okay. So it doesn't have to, it just has to start. Can you share your story?
Yeah. So I started my business in my house. We have a basement, and the basement was living area. We had a TV and the sofa and the tables. And on the other side, my husband had like a table where he would invite friends and they'll play cards and stuff like that. So I started with one piece of equipment and I just kind of moved furniture to the side so that I can fit my piece of equipment. And that was my start. And I'll tell you something else interesting, Sabrina. I created a price sheet and I showed it to my husband and he said, you're crazy. Nobody's going to pay this to come into a home-based studio to work with you. Now, when you're already in a place when you're scared and fearful and you're trying to figure it out and you hear that, that just makes you shrink.
Yeah.
And I just took a deep breath and I said some 2 words. One starts with F, the other one starts with Y. And I said, watch me. And you have to believe in yourself a lot more than others believe in you, right? You have to believe in your whatever it is that you want to do.
Yeah.
And that's how I started. And then I got some more equipment. And then I took one of the rooms and converted it into studio space. And then I decided, okay, I need more space. So then I took over the I kept moving furniture to where like one room got emptied. And then I took half of the second room and moved furniture until that got empty. And then this room, which used to be a bedroom, is now my office. So pretty much the entire basement is now a studio. And during COVID, I started looking for commercial space. Very interestingly, Sabrina, clients were like, why? We love it here. Why? Because we do deep work and they appreciate the privacy and the quietness and the tranquility, right?
Yeah.
And then I redid my outdoor space so that it's tranquil and people can just sit and be. And you guys, I'm running like an international business on my iPhone and in my basement.
Yeah.
So you know what? You create the vision that you want. And Sabrina, I started as a fitness studio. I had no intent of adding mindset coaching. I had no intent of doing energy work. I mean, I didn't plan of doing a podcast. It's like I didn't plan on doing wellness retreats. Once you get into that journey and you trust that intuition, you guys, it will take you places you had no idea existed in your life. You'll really be living life instead of existing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that so much. We got a puppy choking over there. I think she's well, what a wonderful, wonderful journey yourself. What an amazing testament to not only those, listening, those hearing, but also your clients to be able to see, I'm certain that there's clients that have been with you for a very long time and they're seeing the growth, they're seeing the vision in yourself, which then inspires them to expand into their world as far as their physical and mental wellness. I'd love for you to share a little bit about what exactly you do. What exactly do you teach?
That's such a fantastic question because people are like, so what do you do? Do you do like personal training? Like, what do you do? And I do physical training. And the Angelova Method includes, as I mentioned, I started with Pilates. So a big chunk of it is Pilates. I also include movements to release fascia. I also include functional movement based on my prior almost 30-year experience of teaching in gyms and group exercise classes and personal training. So that's the physical piece. So people on the physical aspect usually come for pain. I have back pain, neck pain. I'm an athlete and I can perform because something is aching, something is not moving right, or I just had surgery and I'm rehabbing, or I have an injury and something hurts. So we do the physical work. Very importantly, we start evaluation of the alignment and then seeing, can you maintain that alignment as you move? And are you moving properly biomechanically? So that's very different than a traditional go to the gym and be thrown into a class where you're completely unaware of where you're in space. You don't know if you're in alignment or not. Or maybe you're seeing exercises on YouTube and you're just repeating, but you don't really know which muscles you're targeting. Are you targeting the proper muscles? Because if you have injuries and misalignment, the wrong muscles might fire up. So that's the physical piece. And then Sabrina, it is so cool because you can totally tell personality based on how someone moves. You can totally tell personality based on how somebody gets in their head. And then it's a great opportunity to throw a nugget at them and say, so how does that show up in your life? And some people go right along with it, and some people are confused, and some people totally blow it off, right? So that gives me a great stage for where they are into their mindset journey, right?
Absolutely.
And then I also teach them respect because you know what? Some people have anger in them. Sometimes they're taught to push. So they're pushing their body, they're hurting their body because that's what we're taught, right? Push through the pain to get better. And my approach is totally different. You feel pain, you stop. That's your body telling you something is not right. And then we take those exact same principles and apply them to life and apply them to mindset. And it's a beautiful journey of transformation. What we're doing, we're literally reprogramming your brain, neuroplasticity of how to move, how to think. We go into what do you want? Let's go to those limiting beliefs that are keeping you from the life you want. Okay, you get triggered by certain things. Let's talk about that. Why did this person saying this trigger you? It's not about the other person, it's about you. How can you respond to life instead of react to life? Boundaries. How can you set up boundaries? Are you a people pleaser? And then I'll tell you some of my favorite is I'll get somebody who say, oh, I got this opportunity. I'm scared. I'm like, all right, let's go after it, right? Let's do it. They're like, but I'm scared. I'm like, that's good. That's personal growth. And I nurture them and I support them and I cheer on them. And oh my gosh, the way their life changes, that's what feeds me. I always tell my clients, you're my fuel. You're what fuels my journey, my growth is those transformation of somebody who, is down and semi-depressed because they feel pain, they feel old, they feel like life is over, they hate their job, they're not in a happy relationship, and there's no brightness. And suddenly you see the light, the energy change. They want to do stuff. They want to travel. Yeah. And it's when you see that, when you see how their bodies, their stiff and achy body moves, they're like, oh my gosh, I can play golf. Oh, wow, I can go back to dancing. And they're back to stuff that nurtures them and feeds them. That's like priceless to me. That's what gets me going.
Yes. I would love for you to dive in a little bit more on this fear equals personal growth. I know that there are, people listening right now that just do not agree, do not understand, have no, nothing to compare that to. So can you touch a little bit on what that means or how that's even related?
Sure. So let's just take the example of a job, right? You have a job, you haven't been there happy in a long time. Perhaps you don't like the pay, the colleagues, the vibe is just not your vibe. And you just feel like you're going there. Why do most people go to a job they hate? Because you have the paycheck and you have the benefits and maybe you're close to retirement, whatever your reasons are. These are very standard reasons. You're like, man, I want to quit. But what comes into your head now? Oh, the economy is such and such. What if I can't find a job? Okay, maybe you want to do a radical jump like me and go from finance to wellness. I mean, really not very much related. And then you get the feedback of the world. Well, that doesn't make sense. Well, why don't you wait till the kids, graduate from high school or whatever your situation is? You guys, the fears that we have, first of all, know that we all have them. Would you agree with that, Sabrina? Fear is just part of it.
Yeah.
You have a choice. Do you say, okay, I agree with that fear? Or do you choose to take that fear along and go, you know what, I will do it despite the fear? I mean, it literally boils down to that. And I will tell you, it totally depends on where you are in life. Some people are more ready to do something that's uncomfortable than others. For many people, where the urgencies happen is where something big happens, right? They lose somebody. So now they're like, wow, that person just went suddenly. It gives them perspective of life. Or maybe it's a loss of a job, or maybe it's a divorce, something suddenly, or maybe they fall and break a hip and now they're in pain and agony. All these kind of things, or maybe they're diagnosed with disease, create urgency to now suddenly they're like, screw it, like I need to change something, right? For most people, a big change, uncomfortable change is very uncomfortable. And I just want to tell you guys, one, you can do it, because look at your track record. I guarantee you'll find something that you did a great job at, right? We tend to focus on the things we cannot do well. What if you focus on the things that you have done great in your life? Use that as a jumping board. And you know what? And start small. Sabrina, I'm so glad you asked for that example of how I started. It doesn't mean open $1 million facility and whatever you're doing. Yeah, just start small and consistent. And you know what? Build habits. And I'll tell you, Sabrina, for me, a huge part of my growth is daily self-care. You have to have the tools to keep you grounded and sane. Because sometimes when you go into that next discomfort level, like I'm scaling my business and there is so much new. I mean, you can get lost into the noise. And you got to keep this quiet so that you can hear this. And if you guys are listening to the audio, I'm saying you got to keep the mind quiet and you got to hear that heartbeat, because it's the heartbeat that will take you towards your wants, towards your desire. And this is the other thing, Sabrina, that I think it's very important to realize is that if you have a desire, that desire is not just randomly showing up there. It's showing up for a purpose. None of us are here to just randomly take space. We all have purpose, and you can choose to live in your purpose despite the fears. The fears will be there. Someday smaller, someday bigger. It's okay. Small steps. but forward. And you know what? It will be 1 step forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Like I shared, there will be curves, there will be zigzags, there will be falling on your face.
Yeah.
The important part is you shake it up, you tape up the bruises and you say, all right, let's do this again and let's try it a little bit different.
Yeah.
And you just learn and grow. And it's an incredible journey.
Yeah. I remember there's been a few times in my journey where I literally sit and I'm like, I swear the universe is out to get me. Because like the moment that I'm finally over one challenge and I'm getting up to like breathe from underneath the water and take a breath, another wave comes and knocks me down. And I'm just like flailing around in the ocean, with all these waves. And I come up and just when I'm about to ready to take a breath, to breathe, it's just get hit by another wave. And I'm just like, what is up with this? But that's part of the journey. There is ups, there is downs, there's thrashing around, there's turbulence.
Yep.
And that's just part of the ride. That's part of entrepreneurship. And I think that if you're not feeling that, then you're kind of doing it wrong.
100% agree with you. That's the discomfort that we talked about.
Yeah.
To grow, you have to be, if you are doing every day what's comfortable, you are not growing.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. So much goodness here. So much goodness. Can you talk to us a little bit about your method and then also talk to us about your fun retreat that you have coming up?
Excited to do that. So the method, like I said, it's physical and it's mental. And that's what makes it very unique, because through the physical work, you have to be very intentional about how you move. That's a huge. So if you can imagine, that's like your meditation for the day. You manage to do that for a day and you're regular with that. That will quiet your mind and that will connect you to your heartbeat. And then the mental piece is, once again, I said it before, if your mind is going, if you lack clarity, if I have a great example, Sabrina, I had a friend, this was a couple of years ago, and she's highly stressed in work. This is going on at work. This is going on with her parents. This is going on with this. This is going with that. Her relationship is not going. And should she get divorced? And I'm like, I don't know. What does your intuition say? Now, based on the way you can tell her nervous system is way on overdrive. She is not in a capacity to make a great decision. She doesn't have the space and the clarity for it. So, which is why a calm mind plays a huge part of our success. And honestly, if you guys think that you can be successful with your mind going 100 miles an hour and you're not sleeping, not eating well, not taking care of yourself, just being under constant stress, that will catch up with you. It's not if it will catch up, it will. It's when would it catch up with you. So that's super key. And that's what I teach my clients, because they're, the people, the successful people who have the title, the car, the house, they have that. What they don't have is that fulfillment and the freedom in their bodies and the quietness into their mind and the clarity to take their level to the next level, their life to the next level. And speaking of the great event, I'm hosting a retreat in Bali in April 9th through the 16th. And Sabrina, I love travel. I think there is magic into hopping on an airplane and escaping your daily to-do list so that you can focus 100% on yourself. I would say to Sabrina, a lot of people are like, oh, I would love to go vacation in Bali. I'm like, oh, hold on. We're not going to vacation in Bali. We are going to do physical and mental work. We're going to Bali to take that mirror and turn it and look into it very honestly and say, all right, let's do this. What's going on? Let's get vulnerable. Let's get deep. Yes, we go through a lot of Kleenex boxes. We journal, we meditate, we get uncomfortable physically and mentally, because you know what? I'm going to challenge you on the mat the same way life will challenge you, right? So you have to have the mental stamina to say, okay, well, this is uncomfortable. What do I do? Do I go back? Or do I learn to respect my body, meet it where it is, and move forward? Same thing for the mental work. There are those quiet moments where I ask you a question and you don't want to share your stuff. Or maybe you don't want to even get honest with yourself because you have to put yourself out there. And I love these retreats because everybody's consistently amazed of how deep we go. And they're consistently amazed of the transformation that happens during those. It's a full week. So think about it, it's a full week to do your self-work. It's in a beautiful, private, serene house in the middle of luscious rice fields. We have a private chef, so healthy food, so we'll nurture you, right? Because the work we'll do will be tiring, will be emotionally draining. And what I tell people is you'll be tired, but you will come back so much lighter because you'll ditch all that crap that's you're chugging along that is not serving you and that's holding you back.
And so many of us have so much baggage, so much
We
stuff.
all do. We
Yeah.
all do.
Yeah, that we're lugging around all over the place. Sounds absolutely wonderful. We have a ton of people listening live. Obviously, they're resonating with what you are saying. Who should be reaching out to you? Who do you specifically help?
So most people come to me for pain, whether they're in physical pain or whether they're in, I'm so uncomfortable in my life, I'm starting to not feel good because of that. And some people are like, I know what to do and I'm scared to do it, fear. And some people are like, I have no idea what my next step is. They seek clarity. Those are the people that I love to help. And Sabrina, I talk to people because what I do is very different. It's not mainstream. You have to be on board. You have to be willing to do the work. I can teach you everything I know. Going back to the way we started, if you're not willing to take action, it's not going to work. If you don't show up for your sessions, it's not going to work. And I'm great at balancing love and kind of shoving you out, like gentle kicks out. All right, let's do it. And I love my client, Sabrina. I have been called words during our work. Sometimes they don't love me during the work, but they live here every time feeling better, standing taller, feeling courageous, and going, all right, I got this. And it's transformational. So if you fall into any one of these categories, I work with men and women. I work with all ages. Reach out. And you know what? This is the other thing, Sabrina. We've talked about this. I love the power of the tribe. I love connecting with like-minded people. And who knows? I mean, maybe not now, maybe 5 years from now. Who knows? I love to connect with people who are on a growth path, like I mentioned before. It's super key to surround yourself with people who have been there, done that, who are walking the walk and not just read it in a book and like, I read this and let me teach you now. No. I'm personally walking the walk every single day.
Absolutely. Where can people find more information about the retreats that you're hosting?
So if you go to my website, rebellious-studio.com, you can go on the top. There is a retreats tab and you will find all the info. There is agenda, there is pricing, there is pictures. All the info is there. And if you guys actually go to blogs, today I posted a blog on my healing trip to Bali when I was there last year. It was totally transformational. It's actually what prompted me to host the retreat there this year. I am very intentional with picking up locations. They are very much intuition guided. And Bali is an energy vortex of the world. So the energy is just through the roof. And I look forward to seeing who shows up because I know their life will change in the most amazing way.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, to those listening live, resonating with Maria and all the goodness that she is sharing, make sure to check out her website at rebellious-studio.com. It is in a clickable link in the description wherever you are watching us at. Maria, where do you hang out the most on social media? Where can people find you on social?
I'd say my favorite is LinkedIn, Sabrina. So Maria Angelova there. And then you guys are welcome to find me on Facebook. I would encourage you to find my personal name. I do have Rebellious INTL is my company. However, I encourage you to find me. And I would say my last name is spelled with a U. That's a whole other story, but it's ANGUELOVA. And then I'm on Instagram under Rebellious INTL, one word.
Beautiful. I love that. Well, thank you so much for being here, Maria. So appreciate your story, all of the goodness that you do for your world, for your community. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to sit down with us and share. Any closing thoughts as we wrap up here?
take ownership of your life, claim it. It's okay to be fearful. We all experience it. Do not let fear stopping you from living the life that you want. Be rebellious, stay true to yourself, follow your dream, follow your passion.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, that brings us to an end of yet another incredible episode here at Her Talk Show. Thank you so much for Maria, for all the goodness that you shared today. To our dedicated listeners, thank you for staying with us until the very end here. We so appreciate it. Make sure to follow, like, and share. And once again, my name is Sabrina Victoria. I invite you to join our amazing community, Her Nation, where we continue to uplift each other every step of the way. And again, those links are in the description below. Until next time, do something